How's it going, everyone? This is K Collections. Lost Belt 2 is on the horizon. With that, Sigurd Kaiba will be out. Guess he had enough of dragons, so now he's killing them. I'll go over his stats, skills, give some CE and team recommendations to see how he compares with the other 5-star Sabers. So let's take a look at the man responsible for breaking Brynhilder's heart and determine whether or not he deserves our Saint Quartz. Starting with his stats, Sigurd has the highest attack out of the 5-star Sabers, matching Proto Arthur's. HP stats are also the same, nearing the bottom half. NP gains are good, coming at around 33% with an Arts Quick Arts Brave chain. Star gens are average, yielding around 15 to 18 stars with a Buster Quick. That's if you use his Quick, since it has good hit counts and has a 10% passive boost. Sadly, since there's only one, he's not a consistent star generator. Sigurd focuses on high burst damage output. Active skills may look a bit underwhelming on paper, not saying it's perfect either. It certainly has flaws, but his skills enable him to deal those really high damage. Starting with his crit buff, there are few servants that possesses a 100% crit damage boost. Even if they do, it's usually for one turn only. In Sigurd's case, it's for 3 crit attacks, meaning it can carry over next turn if he doesn't crit. This is superior than a 1-turn buff because if Sigurd doesn't crit, then the buff will remain. Non-crit normals, extras, and NP attacks do not count. For example, let's say you have a Brave Chain available. All 3 attacks have a 90% chance to crit, but your luck is such utter trash and all 3 attacks miss. This means Sigurd will still have his buff for all 3 attacks since none of his previous attacks dealt crit damage. Now let's say you have a NP Brave Chain and his 3rd attack crits. Since only 1 went through, that means he'll have 2 more crit buffs for his next 2 crit attacks. Even if he uses all 3 crit buffs in 1 turn, that's still equivalent to a 1-turn buff. Overall, a phenomenal skill. It gives you time flexibility to properly set up, and it's never wasteful. Cooldown is also very short. His second skill is good, yet not ideal, because they combined his Buster buff with a Guts skill. With a 9 to 7 turn cooldown, you have to decide if you're using it for offensive purposes or for survivability. The buff is also for 1 turn, so you better make sure you kill your target. I'm just never a fan when they mix 2 completely opposing effects into 1 skill. You'll have to use this with his NP attack or if he can crit with a Buster, because with the right buffs, his 1 Buster crit attack can outdamage his Noble Phantasm. So unlike many other servants, Sigurd is a rare exception where if you can Buster crits, prioritize it over his NP. Therefore, I'd recommend maxing his first skill, then his second. Final skill is a targetable star gen buff. You will still need a star generator on your team, otherwise you're wasting a servant slot by having Sigurd. This skill can apply to himself. He'll be able to generate around 25 to 29 stars with a Buster Quick Brave Chain. Downtime is bad though. His Noble Phantasm is a single target that deals more damage to dragon enemies. That's pretty much it. I mean, there are a few dragon enemies, but it's not enough to make this extra damage apply often in battles. Aside from his Buster buff, there's no other damage boost for his NP attack, making his damage output the lowest out of the 5-star single target Sabers. Again, this goes back to prioritizing his crit damage over his NP. For CE recommendations, focus on his crit damage. That's his most superior strength, so focus on building on it. Victor from the Moon is great, also helps with his NP attack since it increases Buster damage. Glory is a nice mixture for his crit and NP strength while providing some stars every turn, which he needs. Sigurd lacks any star gather rate buffs. While his own star weight is average, being able to absorb stars is a must for crit focused servants like him. So for better consistency, equip CEs that increases his star absorption. With a 400% boost, his star weight will rise to 485, more than twice the weight of riders. I'd recommend Heated Sands for the crit damage, but generating a few stars with Star Camelot isn't a bad idea either. Tales of Love and Hope will be on the Skadi banner, so I know people are going to get at least 1 copy, if not like 10 extra copies because of how hard people are going for her. 100% boost will give him a total of 194 star weights, around rider levels of absorption. The starting NP is also helpful. When in doubt, go with Golden Sumo. He's reliant on normal attacks, so increased overall damage is good. For team recommendations, the funny thing is, Brynhilder makes a perfect partner for Sigurd. Go figure, I mentioned that his star weight could be a problem. Well, his lover solves that problem. Post upgrade, her 3rd skill will increase his star gather rates to 3,000. So yeah, no need to worry if he gets all the stars or not. And let's not forget about the crit damage buff. Brynhildr can also help with generating some stars and buff the team star gen. Combined with Sigurd's third skill, a servant of your choosing will be quite solid in providing stars. Napoleon is great for supporting Sigurd offensively while providing stars too. He too can buff star gen. Now, the problem is that Napoleon's star weight is higher, so find a way around that problem if you want to use them together. And another problem is that if you use Sigurd to face Lancers, then Napoleon will be at a disadvantage. Now, I don't think I need to explain why Merlin is such a strong support. Double Merlin setup for Sigurd's Buster crit damage equals insane numbers. The stars Merlin provides is also a godsend. And of course, if I mentioned Merlin, I got to mention Waver. Equip a 20-30 on him and you'll be good. Oh, you also have Anderson, who's an excellent crit supporter, being able to increase damage and provide passive stars. So like, if you want to have a little fun, just turn everyone into a dragon and watch Sigurd murder them. It's a solid plan to one-turn kill, especially Lancers. Just be aware that George will take stars away from Sigurd because he has a higher star weight, so it's ideal to switch George out after his NP. My final thoughts on Sigurd: he's a crit monster, possessing one of the best crit damage buffs in the game. Combined with his Buster buff, he's killing his targets. Stack double Merlins and a Waver, he's approaching the millions. Having a single target NP, he's also an excellent dragon killer. Overall, Sigurd can be summarized as a burst damage dealer, and that comes with pros and cons. For one, you're definitely killing your target, but it takes time for him to set up again. Not ideal for multiple break bar bosses. His long cooldowns for his Buster buff skill also doesn't help. And depending on how you use his crit attacks with his first skill, it could be a 4-turn downtime if he crits with all 3 attacks in 1 turn. Now the good thing is that you can spread his crit attacks throughout 3 turns, but that's a lot of RNG at play, such as the number of stars he gets and what attacks show up or what cards will receive the stars. His third skill is a bit underwhelming. For 1 turn, a servant can generate a lot of stars, including himself, but again, the downtime is long. Sigurd himself cannot constantly provide stars, so he needs help. And the most crippling weakness for Sigurd is that he has no star gathering skill. If anything, that's a must-have for him since he's so reliant on crit damage. If he does get a strengthening quest in the far future, a buff in star weight is required. So here's a servant that can deal insane damage but requires help generating stars. You also have to be careful with who you choose as supports. If they have higher star weights compared to him, then basically they're going to mess with Sigurd's main strength, which makes team building a bit more limited. For NP damage, he's lower than Okita, Nero Bride, and Musashi. For survivability, it's tied to his Buster buff. He can't sustain his crit roll by himself. With so many flaws, should you summon Sigurd? It's a no for me. Now, don't get me wrong, he is amazing within the right team setup, but the same thing could be said for almost every other servant. He is good in dealing damage. Not taking that away, I'm talking about numbers so high, it makes you smile. But he just requires a lot of support. Being a burst servant during a time of break bar bosses is less preferred as well. What they need to do is give him a strengthening with a star gathering skill and possibly an on-demand star creation skill. If they do that, he's completely self-sufficient, and then I would recommend you summon him. But as of right now, any of the 5-star single target Sabers is better. Now, Sigurd can out-crit damage them easily, but he's far less consistent. Let's just admit, we all love Kaiba, but sadly, voice actor alone just doesn't justify going broke for this servant. But what are your thoughts? Are you going for Sigurd? Comment down below. I also did a servant review for Napoleon, link is in the description. I will also do a servant review for Valkyrie and Skadi, so look forward to those. The link will be in the description as well once I update it. A tremendous thanks to all my patrons for supporting me. If you want to support my channel, check out my Patreon or channel membership. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more Fates content. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and join my Discord server. All links are in the description. Have an awesome day, everyone. Till next time.